Good morning to all. Hello. Greetings from Hanka, from Cesto Ayurvedy, which means in Czech the Ayurvedic way. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner from the Czech Republic, and today I'd like to invite you to join our interview with an Ayurvedic doctor, Ayurvedic medical doctor, Dr. Sayali Dhodapkar. She's a pediatrician. And our topic today will be breastfeeding. So this is a very interesting topic to all pregnant women or new mothers. And we would like to look at the Ayurvedic way, Ayurvedic perspective of this beautiful breastfeeding. And let me invite Dr. Sayali to join our live stream. So Dr. actually has moved to the Czech Republic this year. She's practicing in Prague at the moment. And we've already done one interview together on the myths and truths about Ayurveda. We did it in June, so you can find the video. You can scroll down, you can find it in past posts, or you can also find it on my YouTube channel, Cesto Ayurveda. So, Dr. Sayali, are you joining? I've sent you the invite. I might try to do it again. Okay. So we are nearly there. Maybe you know already that I'm myself a mom of 6-month-old, because I'm posting actually about my pregnancy and all the topics about motherhood and breastfeeding, and everything is right now up in the air. That's why I'm so interested in how Ayurveda sees it. So let's wait a little bit more for the connection. Okay, now it should be connecting. Perfect.
Ahoj, dobrý den.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Sayali.
Good morning. Good morning.
Can you hear me well?
I can hear you well, yeah.
Because I can't hear you actually. If you can put up your volume.
Is it okay right now?
Maybe I can ask some of our viewers. Can you hear Dr. Sayali okay? Because I can hear you muted, Sayali, as if you muted some of your videos in Instagram. Or maybe it will improve like it sometimes does during these.
Am I audible right now?
I can hear you, but not on loudspeaker.
What is the issue? Should I leave and rejoin? It will be a better way.
Yeah, that would be a better thing. So let's try
Just
again.
a minute.
It doesn't matter. That's life. But we keep trying. Okay, so I've sent the invite again. Hello?
Hello? Perfect.
Okay, we have, I can hear you actually in the same way, in a very muted way, but we have an answer I can hear from Dushan Mukund. Many thanks. Many thanks. Marcelko, can you hear us? Slyšíš nás, prosím? So if this is okay, then we can continue. Dr. Sayali, many thanks for coming, for finding time for this interview. We are really happy to have you here in the Czech Republic. I've already said that you're based in Prague and you practice either in Prague, in person, or online. And so let me ask you, please, because breastfeeding is a very, I can still see it a very sensitive topic in a way in the Czech Republic, because the generation of our mothers delivered during the era of communism, and at the time the approach was very different. They were actually not, new mothers were not motivated to breastfeed so much. The formula milk, the artificial milk, was supposed to be sufficient, actually on the same level as the mother's milk. So they were really not motivated to breastfeed. For example, me myself, I was breastfed for like 2 months, and that was it. And also the way of labors or deliveries was quite different from how it's today. Women were actually motivated, or were motivated to deliver on their backs, which today we know that it's the least sufficient or the least efficient way. So actually the whole generation lost this natural ability to breastfeed, I would say, in my view, or it was impaired in a way. And this means that our mothers actually didn't have so much to pass on to their daughters, who were about to have babies. So that's why there are still, I would say, lots of myths about breastfeeding. So let's have a look at how Ayurveda sees breastfeeding. What do you think, in your perspective, is the main difference between the modern view, the Western view, and the Ayurvedic view in terms of breastfeeding?
Sure. First of all, Hannah, thank you for having me on this topic and giving an opportunity to talk about it. And it's a really good topic to have some discussion on, that what Ayurveda differently tells about breastfeeding. Everyone knows, every new mom knows that breastfeeding is superior to the formula feeding, and the way it is done, Ayurveda gives some key points, and it focuses on two main things as mother's nutrition, and second, her mental health. These two very largely affects the way you breastfeed. For example, I would like to give a very small example. If you do everything correctly, the latching positions, holding the baby, the pillow positions, mother's posture, but if her mental conditions are not good or her diet is not good, the technical part will not be of very difference making thing in breastfeeding. So this is where Ayurveda gives really good guidelines, and maybe the nutrition is the central part of Ayurvedic way of breastfeeding.
Yeah, thank you for explaining this. Nutrition is still, I would say, a bit underestimated here in the Czech Republic, though we know it's important that mothers are nourished well. But for example, the question of digestion, the strength of digestion is underestimated, or is actually not understood as in the Ayurvedic view. So
you have arrived at a really You have arrived at a really good point. I would like to quote some advisory or guidelines of National Health Service, United Kingdom or UK. They suggest in their advisory that it's the first opening sentence that a mother can eat everything, and only there is nothing special you need to eat during breastfeeding. This is what the national health guidelines say. But Ayurveda differs into this take, like you can say 100% that yes, mothers or lactating mothers' diet is really very different, and not from the food stuff point of view, but according to the way it is taken. For example, in the guidelines, they are saying like you can take 5 portions of variety of fruits and vegetables, but you are a new mom and you can relate it to that, whether a really new mom can eat 5 full times in a day. It becomes a lot. So we need to plan a diet in certain pattern, of course, including the nutritional values of each, according to her hunger. We need more customized approach, her appetite, her mental conditions. Sometimes many of the new moms are trying to cope up with the baby's demands and her own sleep, which is the very great part. That not getting enough rest has a very big impact on mother's nutrition consumption and eventually on the breastfeeding. So this take of Ayurveda, like you need to pay at most attention on the diet rather than more on techniques or the food stuff, is a very different part. We should really take care of it.
Perfect. Thank you for mentioning the hunger point, because this is definitely
Exactly.
something that is not mentioned or not taken into account in the Czech view, how to nourish new mom so that she's able to breastfeed. Because usually it's said, you should eat something nutritious, but we usually forget that the hunger would not be that big, or might be big, but usually the digestion power, or at least how I understand it, might be weakened right after the delivery. So if we eat something very nutritious, and as you just described, or big amount, this would be actually counterproductive. So
If you would like to ask something like what this is a common question which new moms ask, like what should we eat? This is a very common question, that what food stuff, what exactly to eat. So of course everything you eat is going to get passed. Mostly it is going to get passed to your baby. So Ayurveda suggests to eat which supports the lactation. So first, if we consider the Czech food items, which we see as the staple food usually consists of, I mean, there are soups in the starting, then there is some main dish, side dish, and the end dessert. If we see this pattern, a new mom need not to eat everything in this course. So she can plan her routine to eat or have soup in the morning when she is really hungry. Then in the lunchtime, she can take the maximum calorie or maximum filling foods in the lunch, and dinner to be kept really light, and she should not be hungry. So these rules do apply even the mother is lactating. So we have, if to mention in the soups, the garlic soup, or I guess chestnutska, if I'm not wrong.
chestnutska, yeah.
Exactly, polevka, that
Usually
thing,
broths are recommended, like chicken
broth.
broths or beef broths.
Yeah. So these things, and especially combining the Ayurveda text and Czech ingredients, uh, onions and garlic are supported for lactating mother. I mean, they act supportingly for lactating mothers. So, if we consider garlic soup, or you say including garlic in the diet in the form of soup, in the broth, will be very helpful. So this one,
This is great that you mention it, because usually the advice here is, you know, the common understanding of spices is very different, because the knowledge of spices, how they help digestion, how to work with them, is actually not here. It's lacking. So usually the advice would be, do not add lots of spices, which means eat only plain food without any taste.
yeah,
And usually avoid garlic, avoid onion. So this would be like the general knowledge. So you're saying the opposite, right? That actually
exactly.
garlic could be supporting lactation.
Perfect. Another thing which is a really honorable mention, you can say, is use of galactagogues as a part of medicine. So rather than using galactagogue, or for our audience who galactagogue means the medicines which support the lactation or which boost the breast milk. So
Produkující
you
mléko.
can use, yeah. So if you can use the foods which are galactagogue in action, there it is more uh, congenial to the body, or it is more um, easy to digest for the body.
Natural. Okay.
So yeah, the natural ones will be the best one. And in case of herbs, shatavari is one of the important herb we should not forget to mention, that a lactating mother can have at least 1 teaspoon of full of shatavari along with sugar in a milk, in a cup of milk, which will be a very good lactating herb for a mother. So these
So, Dr.
practices,
Sayali, just to be more specific, do you think that anyone actually, any mom, can take this 1 teaspoon of shatavari herb with, let's say, 1 teaspoon of sugar, like 3 times per day, or is it only upon like advice with an Ayurvedic doctor or practitioner?
I will say it will be better if you take the Shatavari with the advice of Ayurvedic doctor. But many of the times, if you're not able to reach, but Shatavari for a lactating mother is like it's a go-to thing. It is very safely it is very safe to have in the routine. So if a person is not like uh, not having enough of breast milk, or then he can really go for shatavari, even without the advice of Ayurveda doctor to start with. And especially this advice is for the only lactating mothers. So shatavari is safe in that case.
And what would be the proportion?
Proportion would be 1 teaspoonful of shatavari powder. Back in India, we get shatavari kalpa, which is already combined shatavari powder along with the sugar. But if we can get shatavari powder only, we can combine it with the cane sugar and milk. That would be a very great galactagogue in itself.
And let's say 3 times a day, or how many times a day would you recommend this?
Once even a day will be of great effect. It depends on your hunger and what or your lunch portions and breakfast portions are. So I will say you can take this as a breakfast and then have your lunch a bit heavy according to your hunger. Would be a good thing to include. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
What other galactagogues would you recommend? Would Ayurveda recommend?
Ayurveda recommends fenugreek as one of the other galactagogues, which is called as methi, and it is fenugreek is
Methi.
also fenugreek is also used a lot of times in the form of laddus, in the form of vegetable as a part of soup and vegetable, but yeah,
Pískavice, řecké seno, česky. I just translated
Yes.
it into Czech. It's called piskavice, fenugreek or meti. So you've just said that you use either the
Yes.
like both parts, even the greenery, yeah, for the soups.
Yes. So the methi and moringa. Moringa is the something I need to mention as our topic is on the Galactagogue. Moringa is found mentioned in uh, Ayurveda as more of which is drying herb or which is scraping kind of herb. And moringa in Czech Republic, according to the observation, it is used as a galactagogue because there is one study supporting it, and it is very largely said that moringa is good for lactating mothers.
Yeah.
But moringa will be, according to Ayurveda, will be more not so good herb for lactating purpose. Moringa would be good for using for some other purposes like if she has worms in her stomach or any other skin infections. So I will not suggest moringa as a part of lactating mother's diet in a quantity which is very largely used right now. So
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it. It's actually it's true that it's widely recommended, moringa, and it's therefore it's widely used among
yes,
breastfeeding women. And as you said, it's a drying herb,
yes,
which is the opposite quality that we want, right? Then we
exactly.
want the opposite quality than drying. So actually, it can be counterproductive as well. And
Perfect.
you say that it's used actually for a different purpose in Ayurveda if you have worms or so not
Exactly.
really as a galactagogue. That's a
Yes.
very good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another thing is very common problems which we face in breastfeeding mothers is not enough lactation, having not enough of lactation. And the first thing which comes to their mind is just to take medicines to produce more breast milk and to have more lactation. So galactagogue is not the go-to thing for if you don't have not enough milk coming out of your breast. So breastfeeding is really very much dependent on the mental health, which is usually ignored in case of breastfeeding mothers, and that affects a lot. For example, in Ayurveda, there is a very good verse which says krodh or anger, shok or which is uh, grief, and ayas or lot of exertion. These three are really highlighted points in Ayurvedic texts when it comes to breastfeeding that one lactating mother should avoid. And if we try to see in the routine, if a lactating mother is a working one, she has other jobs to do in the home itself to other than taking care of the baby, which adds up to her ayasa or exertion. So these are also the factors, including the nutrition, to decrease her breast milk.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you. Definitely, I agree 100%. It's also my experience that really like right after the labor, especially in the postpartum uh, time, it's very important to focus only on the baby. Otherwise, it's everything else is very tiring. And I wanted to ask you, how do you evoke these three uh, emotions? So one way would be to actually distribute the duties to among the family if it's possible.
Yeah, 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 you
Or
rightly
it's
said it.
just
Yeah, you rightly said it that distributing duties with the family, of course, with your partner, or if the mothers are single mothers, then to have someone else to take care of uh, is one thing. And second thing, sleep. sh- Uh, uh, Sleep is given the top priority. Of course, that is important. But I will add one thing of just 5 minutes, 5 minutes of attention on the breathing. I know the uh, routine does not allow for a complete yoga session for lactating mothers, because whenever she gets time, her top priority will be to have rest and sleep. But along with that, to have breathing exercises, not at least breathing exercises, have some breath awareness, 5 minutes of breath awareness session for her own self while sitting in the bed. Uh, how that is directly related to the lactation, it helps to control the krodh and shok part. The anything which is not going right in her mind does get balanced due to this breath awareness exercises. And these are very easy to do, and you don't need anyone to guide it with. So, breath awareness is something which is very underrated, but I
That
guess that
is, yeah,
must
this
be
is
included.
that is true. This is usually not among the recommendations for new mothers. Could you tell us the instruction if you say that it's very easy? So it would be the woman should be in the sitting position, or she can be also lying, or how would you do it?
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah, you asked a very great question. If she's lying in the bed, it can also be practiced while lying in the bed or sitting like in a chair. So it's just to close the eyes. First, to start with, the spine has to be straight. Close the eyes easily. And one important part is that the tongue should not be in touch with the palate. You'll say, oh, this is
Noted.
different. Exactly. When the tongue is detached from our top part of the mouth or palate, the jaw part, these angles of the mouth and this jaw part gets relaxed automatically. And once the jaw gets relaxed automatically, it is an experience that you are able to concentrate on the breath more faster, or and for the longer time. So this is the preparatory part. Once you are relaxed and you know, and this part happens in 30 seconds. You give 30 to 1 minute to just relax yourself, to pay attention all to your facial muscles if you're really feeling relaxed on your face, and then just see your breath. This is the only instruction you should give to your mind while doing it. Like, just try not to modify your breath in any way possible, just to see your breath. So, these things, if done even for 30 to 40 seconds after the preparatory work, and done regularly, like if you get time in the morning, if the baby just slept, you can practice that. If you're like in the evening, the baby, you have done everything with the baby and you're just sitting or doing anything, or you're watching your phone, so rather than giving priority to that, give the priority to the breath awareness, and it is indirectly related to the increasing lactation. And this is
Ah,
my
okay. So let's say if the mind runs away to something else, to the duties, to the labor, to whatever she feels in the body, uh, your recommendation would be to come back to the breath, to go back to the
yes,
breath, and always to come back, and
yes,
not to uh, evaluate the breath in any time, in any way, but
exactly.
just to observe it. Yeah.
It results into the anticipation of what you are right now. So accepting the way your breath is eventually leads some processes in your subconscious mind to accept the way it is. If your baby is cranky right now, if you're not able to cope up with the lactation and the hectic routine, you accept that's the first step. And then you can change your diet. Then you feel enthusiastic to go and do something, and go and improve something, go and change your routine from this to that. So that energy comes from this breath awareness. So I will really recommend this to start with, and then galactagogues will be more effective. But
Perfect. That's a very good advice. Usually, the first advice here would be skin to skin contact.
yeah,
Uh, but this breathing technique is not very common. And from my experience, from what I observe around myself, lots of women actually have problems with not having enough milk, or with a bad technique, latching technique. So this breathing could be helpful. Thank you.
Exactly.
If you can
Another,
say, sorry,
yeah.
go on. If you can say,
Another addition to our mental health and nutrition of the mother is to have divided portions of the meal, which I forgot to mention this point previously when we were discussing food, is,
we can come back to it. We can come back to diet
yeah, sure.
in much
Yeah,
more detail now.
perfect. Uh, So rather than taking big portions and fried portions, which we see in the Czech diets usually, so to divide it into the smaller portions would be a great way to maintain the hunger, because many of the times new moms, they are not um, used to evaluate the hunger and then eat. It's just the gap they find, that the baby is sleeping and I can do my things and I can eat out and like do my things. So it becomes one of the work for new moms than really thinking and then eating. So I will say you can eat in the smaller portions which have uh, more caloric value or more filling, like the hunger satisfying part should be more paid attention to, rather than what you exactly eat. I'll give an example of rice porridge. Like you may not eat rice porridge in like a big quantity. Even if you will eat it small, it will be more filling. So this type of foods should be included, rather than including a lot of fruits, yogurts, or cream cheese into the diet. So this food
Do
part
I
is very
understand it?
important.
Do I understand it correctly, Dr. Sayali, right now, that you're saying that the new mothers should observe their hunger and only eat when they're hungry? That's what we know from Ayurveda, definitely. And also, you're saying that usually the habit is that mothers don't have so much time to eat only when they are hungry. They eat when
Exactly.
they have a gap. So
Yeah.
in case they eat when they have a gap, for this you recommend to eat smaller amounts so that the digestion is not overwhelmed by the food.
Exactly.
Is this what you mean?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. To give the Ayurvedic term, if for this, is ajirna. Means if you don't eat enough, or if you overeat, both of the things are responsible for ajirna. Means the digestion is not perfect. So and why it is so important in case of lactating mothers? Because what the trend we observe is, oh, eat a lot of nutritious food, but sometimes it leads to overnutrition, and the digestion part is really neglected. So, not just hunger, what you feel after eating it. This is what the point I had wanted to make, that what you really feel after eating it. Are you feeling like it's full? Are you feeling low? Oh, no, I really want to eat more. So, this has to be seen, and it is a very important thing to take care of in a long way if you want your lactation to be really smooth. And so the behavior of the child changes, because it really depends everything on the lactation.
That's important. Thank you for mentioning it, because usually, as I described before, usually the advice would be eat a lot so that you have
Exactly.
lots of milk, and this ajirna, or like indigestion, is not considered at all. So
Exactly.
this could lead to overnutrition, and then impaired acne, as you say.
Yeah.
What else, apart from, let's say, rice porridge, would you recommend? Let's say right after the labor, in the first days. Is there something specific that you would recommend to mothers?
I will say polevka or the soups or vegetable broths would be a really great thing to start with, and which are easy to prepare, easy to procure the ingredients as well, and hot in potency. We'll come to this hot and cold food thing a little bit later. But to start with, initial days, you can take different soups and vegetable broths into the diet would be one go-to choice I will suggest. It's like that would be the great.
You say only vegetable broths, or here it's usually advised chicken or beef broth as well?
You can eat. So when it comes to the meat, you can have meat in the form of broth, and that is no problem. Make sure you do not um, just mask your appetite and just go with the taste. So try to make sure that you keep close attention on it. And usually in initial days, right after the delivery, uh, having meat soups is usually don't cause that much of problem. So they can be eaten safely. I will suggest to have some additional things like trikatu or sendhav namak. I will
Could
explain.
you say it again? So
Trikatu.
trikatu.
Trikatu. Three is three.
It's a mixture of three spices, like
Exactly.
both
It's the
peppers, long pepper, black pepper, and dry ginger.
exactly. This mixture of three spices we can put for our audience in comments also afterwards. What is trikatu? And if the trikatu is not available, at least you can put the black pepper powder, which is very easily available, and zazwar powder or ginger powder, which is very easily available. As the topic of ginger powder has came, um, we see that in lot of Western countries, the milk which is used in the carton, and you just take out the milk and use it. So I will suggest for a lactating mother that you need to boil the milk before using it for any porridge or soup, and add a pinch of zazwar powder while using milk especially. So that is a very great thing to avoid flatulence and constipation in lactating mothers.
And
So
would you say that milk is considered as a galactagogue, or would you consider it that it's only like a nourishing uh, item that is very supportive for women, breastfeeding women?
if we see the pattern in which we get the milk in the markets, uh, there are we will need another hour to discuss what are the types of milk and the quality of the milk. So, considering the average, if we consider the cow's milk, then uh, the the quantity and quality will be like it will differ according to the percentage of fat into it. So I will suggest this as not only the galactagogue but also the medium of transmission of the fat substances into the your channels, which is which are very dry after the delivery of a baby. So milk consumption is not only galactagogue, but also it is one lubricating agent into the channels of newly delivered for a new mom. So it is very important to have milk in the diet. Now, question comes like, what about vegans? Like who don't consume cow's milk?
Yeah.
So almond milk or any other milk, if you're using, that is also not a problem. So like, but try to fortify it with ghee, or if ghee is also not in your regime or you're vegan, so ghee is also a problematic thing, then you can use only pinch of zazwar powder, which will avoid its ill effects or heaviness on the digestion. So that will be one good thing to include.
Perfect. So anytime that the lactating mother actually drinks milk or has rice porridge with milk or oats porridge, cereal porridge
Yes,
with milk, every time she should add shunti or dry ginger, little bit of dry
exactly.
ginger.
Shunchi or dry ginger
Are
powder.
there any other spices that you would recommend? Because as I mentioned earlier, this is very different approach from what's usually
Yeah.
widely recommended. Avoid all the spices because we don't see the effect on digestion in like the tradition or in like the uh, common view uh, what to eat. We don't understand it in this way.
Spices
So
are
since
really safe, and especially the shunti or zazwar powder or ginger powder is the safest one to use in the lactating mother. Other spices, I said like black pepper, you can use, and of course in a small amount, and just for the taste and just for the pinch, it would be the highest amount. So other than that spices, fennel is one spice which can be used as a part of somewhere into your vegetable sauce, or while cooking the vegetables or making broth. Fennel can be used, or cumin can be used, but zazwar has some special importance in lactating mothers. So I'll say yes.
and let's say if we are making the sweet variation, so for example cardamom and cinnamon are safe as well.
Yes, cardamom and cinnamon are totally safe. You can use it with the sweet, and they go really well with the um, sweet like desserts and everything. So cinnamon is very, and it is very commonly used. Cinnamon powder is very commonly. You can get it also, and you can use it. You find it in the market. So cinnamon and even the cardamom are safe.
And for example, if you are making a soup, for example, cumin or hing, certobolino, is this something you would recommend?
I will definitely recommend asafoetida or hing for using, but it really depends like whether it's there, have you used it before or not, because the hing is very strong flavor making agent into the food. So if you're comfortable, but it is also useful from medicinal, it has medicinal importance, that hing is very good to reduce the vata predominance in the body. So yes, hing can be safely used. So if you consider a list of spices, cumin, cardamom, cinnamon, then asafoetida, black pepper, and zazwar powder. These are very important ones to use, to have into the diet in lactating mothers. Will be a
Perfect.
good thing. Yes.
What would be your view over pulses, luštěniny, like dals? Because this is a special category here. We are not such big eaters of pulses here in the Czech Republic, or traditionally yes, but at this moment we eat chochka, green lentils, and definitely not so many dals like you in India. And the general advice is actually avoid them while you're breastfeeding because of the bloating effect, which can cause colics to children. I understand it that we actually don't know how to cook pulses in the way that they don't have these properties. Uh, what would be your say on pulses?
Yeah, it's a good observation. I will say those who have observed, or traditionally who have observed, that pulses might be causing flatulence or gases, and which results into the colics to children, is a correct observation. I'll not deny that. But that flatulence is not due to the pulses, but it is due to the ajirnam, as we discussed it previously. So, what
Indigestion.
exactly? So, digestion, if we correct, the portion size, if we correct, the mental health, if we correct, then pulses will not cause any problems. And specifically, which pulses to use is the safest ones are mung beans or moong beans. There are a lot of
Mungo.
pronunciations. Exact. Mungo beans, they are very safe to use, and you can cook them in plenty of water, and that water and mashed mung beans. Both the things can be used as the base or thickening agent of that soup. So you can add this soup thing into your vegetable broth and mix some spices into it, and you can add meat into it. So moong beans, keeping it as a base, you can do a lot of variations, and this is the very safe to go with. So
And is it important to actually put mung beans or mung dal, I would say, into water before cooking it and then rinse it, or what would be the way to cook it?
yeah, moong dal, if we take, because it's a split one, so that gets soaked very easily. So even if like you keep it, you soak it right after you wake up and prepare it after an hour, it is enough. But if you take the whole moong as a uh, grain, that will, if you need to take for soup, then you need to soak it for overnight. That will be a
Okay.
better part. If you soak it, it get cooked very fast.
So
But
if you actually speak about the whole bean, not split, then you need to soak it overnight. Yeah.
soak it overnight. Yeah. And you can add it as a, I'm not saying that you just consume only moong dal soup, but you can combine it with your other choices as a base. That will be a greatest thing to include into the diet of a lactating mother.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes. I guess uh,
So we've mentioned spices. We've mentioned the main food that you would recommend after delivery, uh, and is there anything else that you would like to say in terms of the if we jump out to the bigger picture again in terms
yeah.
of the main difference from the modern view and the Ayurvedic view? You mentioned the psychological state of mind of the mother and the diet, that these two are actually big game changers. And if I remember, if I come back to the food that we actually received in the maternity hospital, then I can say yes, we really need to improve a lot in this, because this was something which I would definitely not recommend to new mother. The food was very bad.
Yeah. I would like to
Usually women
conclude this.
here
Yeah.
froze food. This is the common advice. You will not have time to cook, so prepare lots of food, put it in the freezer, and then take it out and eat it. Is this something? I know that probably this is not the way, but can you explain why?
It is very rightly said. I was going to point out the same thing that eating frozen food is is a very big thing which is in trend right now because it's easy. So eating frozen food is not considered as bad as, like, it's considered equal to the fresh ones. But Ayurveda does not recommend it, and it is to give in one-liner answer. It is vata aggravating, and uh, the colics which you say to the kids and to the newborns, having continuous cold drinks, frozen foods, carbonated drinks into the diet will have a lot of problems in lactating mothers, and especially it will be one of the greatest cause of colic in children. And another point is of including bread and fermented things into the diet that we missed, I guess. So cold food should be avoided, and when it comes to bread, it becomes like it is a cultural food. I mean, it's like it's a staple thing, and how we can avoid it. So we can modify it in an Ayurvedic way, that while eating kleb or rolik, which are the traditional Czech
Chleba,
bread.
rohlík.
Yeah, exactly. So you can always, while before eating, you can apply ghee or butter and heat them or toast them, which will make them a little bit less harmful from vata point of view. So while eating bread, you can of course include um, the fresh ones and not the store bought, if you want to take utmost care. But at least heat it and apply ghee before consuming it. So which is more important thing when it comes to bread.
This is a great advice, and probably not to eat a big amount, right?
Yes, yes.
Usually, someone when I speak about the way how Ayurveda sees frozen food, that it actually lacks prana, the vital energy. Usually, people would respond, but I'm not eating it frozen. I will, of course, warm it up, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, even though you warm it
yeah,
up, the essence, the quality still, the guna still remains.
yeah.
Is this like this?
It's true, and like the processing matters a lot. See, if we take like freezing a food is a something which you are processing the food with. It's like um, if you're making uh, some kind of, let's say, any Czech dish like goulash, there is a recipe to it, specific decided steps for doing that preparation. So even if you miss one single step, the taste changes. This is what we observe in daily life. So same is with the food, that whatever the process you do on that food item, that is going to change some of its properties in the form of its characteristics. Like if you're freezing, is a sanskara or it's a modification which is it is going going through. So that part does have some kind of effect on your body. So people who are in the group, like, oh, it's not at a harmful, I am eating all of my life. But when it comes to illness, it is very difficult to track down it, that whether it is due to the frozen food or something else. So it's better to avoid, though you heat the frozen food after coming home. It's not
Sure, sure.
a great way.
You mentioned processing is very important. Maybe we
Exactly.
can mention this in terms of eating fruits, because also what's very often recommended, if people eat lots of fruits and vegetables raw, here in the Czech Republic it's considered healthy. Yeah, that
Mm.
it means that you're doing something for your health because you're eating these raw. What would you say about this approach?
I will say someone's healthy food is someone else's poison. I will say this in one line, that if your Agni is not supporting it, though you're eating plenty of fruits all day long, still you feel something while sleeping, like, oh, something is missing. So food is something which is very customized thing. So you need to adjust your body according to your needs. And that is the rule not only for lactating mothers, it is for everyone. And to more specify it, I will say fruits are okay, not a problem. But eating raw vegetables and salads more, just to not to have constipation, have increased fibers in your diet. Uh, See, our gastronomy, our gastric system, our digestive system is not made for uncooked food. Though we consume uncooked food, it is to be consumed in a very less quantity. not in very large quantity and not very frequently. So cooked food is the priority option to go with, and fruits okay, but not very in lot of lot much quantity. Yeah.
Dr. Sayali, many thanks. This is a very large topic, and we could speak about this for hours. I know that we
Exactly.
just said like a tiny bit about the, let's say, whole diet and yeah, characteristics of various foods, and that the processing is very important. This is also one of the takeaways of Ayurveda, which we miss here in the Czech Republic, in the common way how we eat food, that the processing change actually the qualities of the food. I think we would need to finish, not to
Yeah.
make the video very, very long. I would ask you, how can someone reach you? Where can they find you if they wanted to keep in touch with you directly and ask for consultation or for your advice?
Sure. I'm available for online as well as offline consultations. Online consultation, you need to book an appointment with communicating me prior. You can visit my page, Facebook page, Dhatri Yoga and Ayurveda Shala, or you can message me on Instagram, Dhatri Shala. And I'm currently based in Prague, Czech Republic, so you can have offline consultations with me in Prague with prior appointment, and for online also, it is you can join me, you can consult me from anywhere in the world.
Perfect, perfect. Dr. Sayali, many thanks. Many thanks for your time. I think we've discussed so many topics, and you've given us many tips. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to having another interview sometimes in the near future.
Sure,
Many thanks
sure.
for that.
Thank you,
Have a good
Anna, for
day
having me. Have a good day.
to you and to all our viewers.
Yes.
And I also wanted to say you can find this video on the YouTube channel Cesto Ayurvedic in some time in the future. I'm gonna download it
Thank you.
there, upload it there. So thank you once more and have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Have a good Saturday.
Thank you.